Hi again, this is Emmy Pahabera Carpo, and in this video, I will teach you about the trial balance. Okay, so let's get into the video. Okay, so first of all, let us define what trial balance is. So trial balance is a list of all the accounts with open balances in the general ledger. Let us try to understand this definition here. So it says a list of accounts. What are these list of accounts? Can you give example? Sure. Accounts like cash, accounts receivable, merchandise inventories, furniture and fixtures, accounts payable, owner's equity, office supplies expense, sales, and many others. Okay, so another phrase from this definition that you need to understand is the phrase with open balances. So what does this refer to? Well, it refers to those accounts in the ledger with either a debit balance or a credit balance, meaning to say, those accounts with zero balance are ignored. Question: where do you get the balances of this account? Where do you get the information? Answer: from the general ledger. So in our last video, we discussed about posting journal entries to the ledger. If you haven't seen it yet, I suggest that you post this video and go and watch first our video on how to post journal entries to the general ledger. But if you have already watched it, then let's proceed with the question: what is the purpose why we need a trial balance of the ledger accounts? Well, the purpose of trial balance is to prove the equality of the debit and credit in the general ledger. Okay, now that you understand what a trial balance is, we might as well prepare one so you may understand it better. Here are the steps in preparing the trial balance. Step number 1, make a listing of all account titles. Note that the following should be observed in the preparation of trial balance: name of the business, title of the report, date of the trial balance, provision for 2 money columns, 1 debit and 1 credit. Okay, so let's try preparing a trial balance for Laundry Works, the company that we discussed in our last video. Okay, so the name of the business is Laundry Works. This is what you put as heading, and then on the next line is the name of the report, which is trial balance. Oh, trial balance of totals. I'll explain this later. Then the date when you prepared it. So you prepared it after a month of operation, which ended on January 31, 2028. Next is you provide 3 columns, one for the list of account names, then a column for the debit, and another for the credit. Okay, so let us list down the accounts from the ledger with open balances like cash, accounts receivable, laundry supplies, laundry equipment, furniture and fixtures, delivery van, accounts payable, Banco de Oro, Ricardo Cruz Capital, Ricardo Cruz Personal, laundry income, laundry supplies expense, salaries and wages, water and electricity, fuel and gas expense. Okay, so we are now through with step number 1. Let's proceed to step number 2. Get the account balances from the ledger and write them under the corresponding debit and credit column. So let's do it. Let us find from the general ledger the debit and credit totals of the very first account in our list, which is the cash account. So let's go to the ledger, and you find this cash account here showing total debits of 516,400 and the total credits of 175,000. And let's put these amounts under the debit and the credit column of the trial balance for cash. So cash has a total debit balance of 516,400 and a credit balance of 175,000 pesos as per the ledger. Okay? So let's get the debit and the credit totals for the next account, the accounts receivable. So let's go to the ledger, locate this account, the accounts receivable, and get the total debits, which is 17,300 pesos and get the total credits, which is 6,400 pesos. Then write these amounts under the debit 17,300 and the credit 6,400 pesos. So you can continue the process by yourselves for you to be able to practice preparing a trial balance. All you have to do is to follow the 2 steps procedure and you will be able to finish everything. Now, let's pretend that we finished copying the total balances of the debits and credits for each account in here. Then, this is what you will come up with after you finished everything. So, this is the completed trial balance of totals. When you add all the debits and all the credits, you can see that they are balanced. The total debits of 833,700 is exactly the same amount as the total credits of 833,700. However, the accountant opts to prepare the trial balance of balances than the trial balance of totals. So, what is the difference between the two? In the trial balance of totals, the debit total and the credit total of each account are listed just the way we did. While in trial balance of balances, only the balances of the accounts are shown. This is what the accountant opts to prepare. Let me explain. So, as per our trial balance of totals, the total debit forecast is 516,400 and the total credit is 175,000. This means that for the month of January, there was a total increase in cash of 516,400, but there was also a decrease in cash of 175,000 pesos. So, how much therefore is the actual available balance of cash as of January 31, 2020? Well, the answer is 341,400. This net balance here is called the trial balance of balances. The accountant would prefer using this 341,400 when she prepares the trial balance of balances, or simply called trial balance, rather than identifying all the debit totals and all the credit total. So, same with accounts receivable, with debit balance of 10,900, laundry supplies with debit balance of 15,000 pesos, laundry equipment, furniture and fixtures, delivery van, accounts payable, Ricardo Cruz capital, Ricardo Cruz personal, laundry income, laundry supplies expense, salaries and wages, water and electricity, fuel and gas expense. Okay, so this net balances here that the accountant uses when she prepares the actual trial balance report. Okay, so how does a trial balance of balances looks like? So, this is the format of the trial balance prepared by an accountant. It is called trial balance of balances, or simply trial balance. So, you put all those debit balances under the debit column and all those credit balances under the credit column. All these amounts are the net balances, and if you total all the net debit balances here, will give you the same result when you total all the credit net balances in the amount of 647,300 pesos. So the total debit is equal to the total credit. Okay? However, let me give you some reminders. A trial balance, even if the total debits is equal to total credits, does not necessarily follow that it has no error. A trial balance will remain in balance even if the transaction is recorded with wrong accounts. For example, instead of debiting salaries expense, you instead debit supplies expense. Or the transaction is recorded with wrong amounts. Example, an income of 20,000 pesos is recorded as 2,000 pesos. This may not be disclosed by a trial balance. Or the transaction is not recorded at all. Example, a cash collection from a customer which was not recorded in the books cannot be recorded or cannot be discovered in the trial balance. Now, to correct these mistakes, an adjusting entry should be effected, which we will examine in the next video when we discuss the adjusted trial balance. Okay? So, that is all for today's video, and if you want me to continue make more of this kind of video, please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.